All right, aloha, and welcome to another Aloha Friday episode. My name's Tyler Deveraux. We got Jackson Campbell, and we're ready to dive in, man. So listen, start right out the gates, dude, with just making sure that you're rating, sharing, reviewing, all those kind of things that you need to do, right, Jay?
Yes, liking, subscribing, and tuning in daily.
Yeah.
Because, again, we're one of the only high-level podcasts out there giving daily episodes, and they're very good. They're very good episodes. The Daily Drips from Dallas, Monday through Thursday, definitely tune in from those. And then Friday, I get the opportunity to sit down with you, interview you, and dive into mindset principles and real estate topics as well. So definitely tune in. Very, very, very good podcast. And if you're just joining, thank you for being here. We're very grateful to have you here.
Welcome.
You will enjoy.
Aloha.
You will enjoy, and you will learn things. So get the pen and paper out, because there'll be some notes that need to be taken for sure.
Amen. That's a fact, dude. That is a fact. Today we're going to talk about how important it is to embrace change and how that is a catalyst for your personal growth at any level, but really just growth at any level, right?
Yeah.
Personal, your business, like
spiritual,
yes,
mental, physical, anything you have to embrace for that change, for sure. That adaptation.
But there's one thing that I struggle, if we're just being honest, before we even dive into this narrative here, there's one thing that I really struggle with changing. And that is that I have an unnamed energy drink here because my regular Zoas have been out of stock for a little bit. So I have an unnamed one that just does not have the same. I'm struggling with adapting to that change today, Jackson. And I just want to say to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who just so happened to work out at the gym that I work out at the other day, even though I apologize that I didn't meet you there because I know you wanted me to meet you there.
The whole reason he went was
Yes.
he was looking for you.
And I apologize I missed the messaging. But, bro, I'm a Zoa man. By the next time we do our next podcast, it'll be a Zoa. I apologize for this unnamed drink over here.
No.
Anyway.
Okay, well, let's dive in, dude. If you're having a hard time with that change, then I think it's the perfect time to do this episode, dude, so we can dive into it and embrace those changes for sure. Ty, as we dive in here, there's some changes coming on the Growthcast. We're making some changes here on the Growthcast, right? We've noticed that we need to adapt and change and better what we're doing and what we're producing here at the Multifamily Mindset, and meaning behind the Growthcast. And we're launching a rebrand starting next week.
Yep.
We're actually launching a rebrand. It's changing from, I don't know if you want to give those details or if you want me to dive into. We're changing it from the Growthcast to the Multifamily Mindset Podcast. Yeah. And we're gonna dive into a little bit on why we decided to do that. Maybe Ty, let's start there, brother. Why did we decide to change from the Growthcast to the Multifamily Mindset Podcast?
Because of growth, right?
Yep.
Because of everything that we learn in growth. So the rebrand will be called the Multifamily Mindset Podcast. It's interesting because we ask for advice and feedback all the time, and I'm so grateful for people who give that feedback.
Likewise.
And by the way, that's an actionable for every single one of you. You should be soliciting feedback.
Yeah, I was gonna almost pause you and say that, but I wanted you to finish your thought. But yeah, if we're talking about adapting and changing, a lot of times you can't do it without that feedback.
No,
because blind spots you don't see, right?
Yeah.
Sorry.
We have these but that's it. You have these blind spots, right? And not necessarily that the rebrand was. Well, yes, it was a blind spot because we didn't know. So listen, we started working with a group called Brand Builders. I'm pretty sure we've mentioned them. I think so, at least a couple times. If not, Brand Builders. Rory Vaden is the founder there. Amazing group. And they help us understand branding and how to really truly build a brand that is synonymous. Like that's synonymous, right? The verbiage and the narrative and all these different things. And it's been super eye-opening, man. It's been an awesome thing to learn because I don't know anything about branding.
Yeah.
And one of the first things out the gates is they asked about our podcast. And you were in this.
I was in this meeting, yeah.
And we mentioned it was a Growthcast, and they were like, yeah, we're going to change that. We should change that.
They were way nice about it. Freaking shout out to Brand Builders. Love those guys.
Ben and Larissa.
Loved spending time with them. They're fantastic. But yeah, they were really kind about it. They were like, oh, we should look into that name and why it's named that. Yes. We should address that. We should dive into that for sure. But it's one of those things that they pointed out to us that we needed to adapt. Yeah. And that we needed to change on our side for the growth.
And so we do it, man. And what's crazy is we love, like, you know, you fall in love with certain things, right? For whatever reason. And we loved the name, the Growthcast. I think Dallas created that name.
Yeah.
But I loved it from the get. But the reality is, like, that is like the true. It's interesting because I'll go to like teach a class and be like, how many people follow the Growthcast? Subscribe to the Growthcast, and you'll get 1 or 2 hands in the beginning. You know, this is an introductory class. They're just learning about our company, but it's also like now what's it called? The growth what? It's like, now what?
Yeah.
It's like they can't wrap their head around it.
Yeah.
So if we're looking to expand and grow, we need to understand how to really market and brand, which you market and brand the name that the company is, the Multifamily Mindset, right?
Yeah.
So that's the direction that we'll go. The feedback side of things, though, is one of the biggest, and you tell me if you correct me if I'm, you know, you have a different opinion here.
Yeah, go ahead.
But one of the biggest things that we saw in the feedback was that you guys wanted to hear from more students, right?
Yep.
More students coming through their stories, just their stories, right? And what they're working on and how they're doing it.
Yep.
And so we're going to make that a focus.
Yeah, that will be part of it. That will be part of the change as well as we change and adapt is to get more students on here, and it's going to be awesome. And one thing I just want to pull from that as well is we realize that by making this change and making this adaptation, and oftentimes when you change and you make these adaptations in your life, you'll notice it too, that it's for the better purpose of the podcast, right? Mm-hmm. The purpose of the podcast is so we can have a platform to be able to teach these mindset principles and for people to be able to hear from you on a more consistent basis. And by changing the name to the Multifamily Mindset Podcast, it just is more cohesive and it's better for the purpose.
Yeah.
Right. I heard a Rick Rubin quote the other day that said, "You don't want your idea to win. You want the best idea to win, because the best idea is better for the whole thing."
Yeah.
It's better for the purpose, right?
So good.
So yeah, the Growthcast was a great idea. It's a cool name. I think it's an awesome name for a podcast, the Growthcast. I think it's a cool name. But to better deliver the message of what we're trying to do here at the Multifamily Mindset, you got to make some adaptations. You got to make those changes. And again, it's what was better for the purpose that's behind all of this, not just better for the image or for the story that it tells, that it does benefit those things as well.
Totally.
But again, is so we could have so the purpose behind the podcast could be better fulfilled.
And that's the route that we're going to take today. Like, we figure, like, making the change. So from here on out, you'll hear it called the Multifamily Mindset Podcast, right? Mm-hmm. For you as a listener, nothing too monumental. But for us, it was monumental. And so we want to talk about, monumental, but we want to talk about, like, adaptation and growth and how important that is and those kind of things.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So let's dive in there then, Ty. How would you describe adaptation, and why do you feel it is so critical to growth?
Well, I believe that is growth. Like, I believe that adaptation is synonymous with growth. Absolutely. Like, with a growth mindset, right? You have to be flexible. You have to be resilient. You have to be open-minded to thinking differently, behaving differently, approaching situations differently. Like, that is growth. And a lot of the times that comes from this internal feedback that we give ourselves and adapting as people, but it also comes from external feedback, right? Like, just feedback. We literally need to be solicitors of feedback in all areas, and you need to be looking for feedback in all areas. Like, what I mean is, feedback doesn't just need to come from you asking someone to give you feedback. Feedback can come from, okay, how did that situation go? So, is this working? What you're doing right now, is it working?
Yes.
And could it be better? Which, by the way, the answer to that question, could it be better, is always abso-freaking-lutely.
Mm-hmm. It's always
absolutely.
Yes. It's always yes. So what you're saying right here is you can essentially give yourself feedback. You can be that font of feedback for yourself. Is that what you're saying?
You should be absolutely. Yeah. Then solicit it from all angles all the time, right? So adaptation, my view of adaptation and why is it so important for growth? It literally, that is growth, right? Being able to adapt is being able to grow. And the minute that you stop being able to adapt is the minute that you lose your ability to grow. And the minute that you lose your ability to grow is the minute that you, are not as valuable as you could be, and your life is not as good as it could be.
Yeah. It's a quick question that came up as you were just laying those things out here, Ty. If you're going to be your biggest source of feedback, how do you this is a legit question that I'm asking you. How do you go about being your own source of feedback? Because a lot of times you take action on what you believe to be the right thing, or you wouldn't take action on it, right? Mm-hmm. But then you look back in that situation, and sometimes I know that can be hard for people to look back and realize they maybe did something wrong. But what does that situation look like for you, and how do you pull out those learning lessons?
It's a great question, bro. I love that question. And, it gets my mind spinning as you're asking it. And it's like, I believe that it might sound weird, but number one, you have to just be your biggest fan and believing in yourself. And
love that, dude.
So I know that sounds weird because you're asking me, how do you look at things where you give feedback to grow? But it's like, the reason I say, and I lead with that you have to be your biggest fan and believe in your ability to grow, is because then it gets exciting, bro.
Yes.
Then it's like you look at it and your main focus is just to become better.
Yes.
All the time. So when you're looking at it, it's not like this thing of like, oh man, I messed this up, or oh man, I could have done this better. It's like, oh man, okay, I could have done this better here, and I could have switched this up here, and that could have been better. And then all of a sudden it's energizing, right? It's all a switch of how we look at it. It's not this thing that takes me down. It's a thing that actually takes us up a notch.
Yeah.
Right.
And gets you amped and like hyped about it, dude. I love how you painted that picture. You have to be your biggest fan. When you said that, I think of like a super fan of the Los Angeles Raiders, when they all used to get like dressed up in their helmets and all their black and silver, you know what I mean? They look like pirates totally. And go to the games, right? Those are fans of the Los Angeles Raiders when they were the LA Raiders, right?
Yeah.
That energy that came with it, right? Let's say their team lost again. Let's say the Raiders lost. All of a sudden, the fans have all of the solutions. Yeah. Oh, they should have done this. Oh, I've got all this feedback. Should have played this person. Should have went at it this approach. But if you're a fan for yourself, and the excitement that comes with all of those corrections, right? Yeah. Oh, we could have won if we would have just corrected these things. You can be that. You can be that for yourself. So for whatever reason, when you said be a fan to yourself, that's the image that was painted in my head.
I love that.
You got to cheer for yourself.
You do.
And even when you lose, you're talking to yourself. You're talking to all your buddies about like how that game could have gone better, or what you could have done better, and how you could have amplified it to win next time that situation arises, or whatever it is.
Because
really like
it doesn't mean that it's not a knock on you. It's a nod to you. Like, yeah. Like you actually have the ability to do better. Mm-hmm. You actually have the ability to grow, and it's like, that's what it should be about, man. That's exciting, you know? So that allows us to, like, when obstacles come, like I look at what provides peace of mind and what provides just, dude, energy, man. And it's hope, and hope comes from trust in yourself, and you can trust yourself because you put in the work and you know that you can change and grow. And so now it's like an obstacle comes, and it's like, I know that I'm going to be creative in overcoming that obstacle. I know that I'm going to be able to find creative solutions to be able to do that. I know that that's going to be valuable. I know that if I can switch this, I'm going to have a greater impact here. And it allows us to embrace change. And if you think about that change is constant. Mm-hmm. If I can guarantee you anything, it's that things are always going to change.
Yeah.
So it's like, instead of kicking back against that and fighting against that, it's like, embrace that, utilize that, and weaponize yourself with the ability to change. Mm-hmm. Like a changing markets, right? The market changes in the multifamily space or any space. And it's like, do we look at that as like a detriment, or is it like, I believe in my ability to adapt, change, and move forward.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like you continue to grow. I look at things with, I don't know, social media. And then social media is an example. So many people in the beginning of any platform, it's like they would kick back against it. No, I don't want this. No, I don't want that. No, I'm not going to use that for my business. I'm not going to do this. I remember, dude, I gave a presentation to a bunch of grocery store owners. This was back when I was in social media, internet marketing. Bro, a whole group of everyone there owns grocery stores. And I told them something along the lines of, if you don't embrace this digital era, you're going to be out of business. Yeah. Like, you're just going to be out of business. In the future, people will order their groceries online. That's what I said. This is, dude, back in the day.
Yeah. Prophet Ty over here.
I know, bro, for real.
Amazon Prime.
But I remember, bro, the animosity in that room.
Yeah.
This freaking guy doesn't know our business, and I didn't, but I know change. And obviously, grocery stores are always going to be a thing. But what I'm saying is, think about the grocery stores that thrive. Any business that thrives
has some sort of digital
curbside pickup, these types of things. Dude, yes, the grocery store is still there, but you adapt to be able to provide even more value to that. Right? Adaption doesn't mean that you're forgetting everything that you've done. It means that you're amplifying and building upon everything that you've built. Right?
So good. That's so good. I mean, that's an important thing to take away from this as well, is when you're adapting and changing, it's not discrediting what it is that you've done before. It's almost like giving it those things a nod. It's like tipping your cap to those things to now, all right, I did that. I know what I did there. Now it's time to level it up a notch and do that next thing, dude.
You know what's crazy, bro,
that, man.
Is like AI, for example, that's going on right now.
Yeah.
People are terrified of AI, right? And what's interesting about it is then they avoid it.
Right.
And dude, I mean, just one little bit of, like a chat GPT or whatever. GPT?
Yeah.
Okay, GPT. Getting in there and you play around, you're like, oh my gosh. Like, this is incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Like, do I understand the concerns? I sure do. But I also understand that there are things that we can adopt and change that will help amplify your business. You'll either use it or be abused by it. Mm-hmm. So it's like, do you adapt? Do you pivot? Do you persist? Whatever it is, it's up to you.
Right. It's up to you at the end of the day. Dude, I loved how this has kind of shifted. There was one thing that I wanted to go back to, dude. I asked you, what was the question that I asked you back? I'm trying to remember how I worded it. Let me see if I can look back here. You talked about, oh geez, what was the question that I asked you just a second ago? I forgot it.
Like, essentially something with myself, like, how do you do that without?
Oh yeah, right. So how do you be your own supporter and give yourself that feedback without stopping yourself? This is the part of the. Do you have something you wanted to add to it before I get on to the second? I have a second little part of that question that I wanted to ask.
Okay, so can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because if the question is how do I do that, can I lean in on that real quick?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I try to look at the situation and literally ask these questions as soon as the event is done. So, for example, we just did a Maui meeting today, right? And anytime I do a meeting like that, I literally sit back and I don't celebrate. You can celebrate the things that went good. I think that's great. But it's like, okay, how could I have done it better? Did the message land? Did the main point that I was trying to get across, was it received? And how could I approach it better next time? How did I prepare for this? And how should I prepare better next time? It's like, I really want to know how it went and that's in any situation. I get done teaching a 3-day training and I'll do the same thing, man. Not a week later, not when I go do the next, like right after, like, okay, which is tiring sometimes, dude, because I'm exhausted when I get done teaching those. But I sit down, I'm like, okay, what went well? What could I do better? And that happens actually at the end of each day, but definitely at the end of, the 3 days. Any situation like that. Parenting is an example. I'll handle a situation and then I'll sit back and be like, okay, well, shit, how could I have handled that situation better?
Yeah.
Differently.
Right.
Did what I was trying to teach, did it really land? Even though what I was saying might be great, but if it didn't land, it ain't great.
Right.
So how could I make it and repackage it in a way that lands? Anyway.
Dude, it's so good. Like, essentially what you're saying here, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's almost like a tricky dance that you're playing with your ego. It's a tricky dance that you literally have to play with your ego, because you have to sit in that moment and believe that you know that you can overcome whatever the challenge is, right? So you kind of have to have that ego to know, like, I'm able, I can do this, I'm the shit, I can overcome this.
Yeah.
But you have to also be sitting there in that exact same moment with your ego completely removed and thinking, oh man, I fricked it up. I messed it up really bad right there, and this is how I could do it better. So it's almost like it's a tricky dance on that you have to play with yourself on taking action on what you think is best and taking action on what you've like decided is best. Yeah. Right? Yeah. It's a tricky dance. I don't know if there's anything else you want to
remove the emotions and make decisions based on the data. Remove the emotions and make decisions based on the data. If you're leading a team of people and you're struggling to inspire action with that team of people, well, maybe you just take a step back and be like, and leading people is challenging because you can only control what you can control. You can control the message that you give or the way that you lead, but you can't control the way that they will take that and receive it and run with it. But if you just think that this message and the way you're doing it is the right way all the time and you don't adapt there, well, then they are not going to adapt there.
That's great.
So if you just take a look and like, okay, well, I've been trying to do it this way for however long, maybe I'll try a different approach. That alone opens you up to a whole new world of possibilities, right? Yeah, and that's it, not just in leadership. That's within anything.
Right. And dude, and that's exactly what it is. It's opening yourself up to those other solutions, to those other
It's so much easier, bro, right? So much easier to be like, oh, man, them, this, and blame this, and I can't believe they're doing this. And that. That's so much easier. That's why people default to that, because it's so much easier. It's a lot harder. You said this dance with your ego. It's a lot harder to be like, well, actually, maybe it's because of how I'm delivering the message. Maybe it's because of something that I'm doing that I'm not even realizing that I'm doing. And then what do? You elicit feedback. Ask for feedback. Yeah. Promote feedback, whatever it is.
Yeah.
With yourself, and dude, ask from others, man. Ask from others. Anyone within our mentorship network, you'll know that we ask you for feedback all the time. And that feedback does not go on deaf ears, dude. That feedback is things that we are always implementing. Like your main project right now is all based on
feedback that we've gotten.
Feedback. Yeah. My main projects that I'm focused on right now are all based on that feedback, right?
Yeah. As they should be, man.
Totally.
As they should be. If you're doing anything in life, if you're growing and you're trying to accomplish anything noteworthy, that's exactly what you should be doing, dude. You should be asking for that feedback, figuring out where it is you're messing up and where you could be doing better, dude. Always.
That's it.
Dude, Ty, real quick, as we kind of
Can I share something with you?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Go actually ask your question.
No, we're telling towards the end. So if you want to throw something in here, go ahead.
Go ahead. Maybe I'll share it. Maybe.
Okay. So, dude, as we kind of wrap up here, dude, do you have an experience that you can share where you had to adapt to change, and what did that process maybe look like for you? What were those feelings? What did that look like for you? So maybe we could pull out, I don't know, some more actionables.
Yes. It's funny, bro, because that's actually what I was about to share.
Okay.
Can I share it?
Yeah, of course.
So first off, all the time, man. All the time. So you asked, what does the process look like, and is there any experience? Like, all the time, dude. Growth. I believe that growth rarely happens in these big life-changing events, right? People think it happens that way, and sometimes it can happen that way, like a big epiphany, this big change. But in reality, growth usually happens from these small bursts, these small steps, because what those small bursts, those small steps do is it's constantly expanding your comfort zone. It's constantly expanding it. But if you disrupt it too much and you challenge it too much, well, a lot of times you're going to revert back into your comfort, right? So it's like I wake up at 4. I want to wake up at 4:15, but I've been waking up at 8 a.m. And now I'm going to try to wake up at 4:15. Dude, you're going to challenge your comfort zone. You're going to challenge it. So a better growth trajectory would just be small steps from 8 to 7, from 7 to 6, and then from 6 to, right?
Yeah.
But this is the text that I received today from Brittany. This is what I love about Britt, man. Britt is always providing feedback. She says, I just listened to a talk about replacing contention with peace. I feel that we could be better examples of that within our own home. I see the way that we speak to Pax and Marley mirrored on the way that they treat each other. Will you recommit with me to teach by example, to calmly step away from a negative situation and correctly, respectfully negative situation and correct respectfully, or considering that maybe the better teaching moment is later that day or night when emotions aren't so high, and a time when the kids are more receptive to learning, to reflect on the action and effect, point out the positive, and teach in a better way for next time. To be an example of not letting our emotions control our reactions and communications. Words are cheap, and barking instructions are usually ineffective. I'm the most guilty of this, and repeated evidence has confirmed this over and over again. I'm reminded once again how actions teach better than words. To use yelling more rarely to be effective, especially if warning of danger. They will be what they see. How we treat them will be how they treat others. And then she goes on to all sorts of nice compliments, but she just kind of wraps it up with like, hey, we're pretty great parents, but I feel inspired that this is one way we could work on being better. And
it's amazing.
I loved it.
Yeah, dude.
I absolutely loved it. And that was my response back, is that I loved it, because I don't look at that as Britt telling me that I'm a bad dad or that I need. It's like, man, one thing that she said in there is how you treat. I'm so grateful for how you treat me. Like Pax is learning how to treat his future wife, and Marley is learning what to look for in a future husband. But what resonated with me on that was, I speak to Brittany and show Brittany a level of respect that I don't necessarily do with the kids, right? Like when I don't correct. I mean, I do. We do correct each other,
sure.
right? Like that's what we do. But it's different, obviously, when you're parenting. But
obviously,
My view is like, what if I spoke to them with the same level of respect, love, as I do with Britt? I just believe that it would land more. You know,
absolutely.
That has been this, evolving process. This adaptation of being a parent is the epitome of this, because you don't know what the hell you're doing.
Right.
Like you're just trying to figure it out, and you hope that the kids don't figure out that you don't know what you're
You're
doing.
trying to figure it out. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
You're just trying to stay a step ahead, and so that is like this continual process of just adapting, changing, growing, and it's very much a challenge, but it's very much something that's just powerful. Another thing, and
thank you for sharing that, because it is so powerful to even just see an example in your life on how you do that daily, dude. And it's a huge thing that really says a lot about you, and it's a separator of you and Britt, dude. I know you guys very well. I've known you for many years now, dude, and I know how you guys operate. I know how you guys communicate with your kids, and you guys are fantastic parents, dude. You guys do a great job raising your kids, and that's why. That's exactly why. Is because you guys are able to have that types of communication with each other in a loving manner, to be like, hey, we're good, but there's a lot of things that we can still get better at, right?
Totally.
And that's amazing, dude. So thank you for sharing that, bro. And again, it's a great example of if you're collaborating with anybody, this is a husband-wife situation, but that communication, dude, is it's so clutch, dude. It's so
appreciate
clutch.
that, bro. I'll give you one more example, because I give Britt all the credit in the world with how she delivers information and feedback, and but it's because of how. But I want to make this clear. I know she loves me, and I know that she believes in me. We're surfing the other day, and dude, I just want to have fun with my buddy Paxton, and Pax. We talk about adapting. Sometimes he is, like any human, and anything new, there's kickback on. And what I know about him, I remember when we put him into swimming lessons as a kid, really, really young kid, dude. We're talking, he would throw the biggest fit, dude. Like to the point where it felt like it was child abuse, man. Like putting him in this pool and making him swim. Like it was like, oh my gosh,
a tantrum.
But we knew that after he would swim back and forth to Britt and I, literally it was 6 times. That was the key. I'm not joking you. 6 times. Then he would be begging for more. We'd go there and be like, hey, we got to do 10. And it would take so long to get to 6. But by the time we got there, then we'd get to 20. Because then he's just having fun. Right? He would eventually adapt. But the beginning process was painful. Well, it's the same with surfing. I just want to go out there with my buddy, dude, and just have some fun. Like, not catch the big waves, just like literally just be out there. And I'm trying to like, but Paxton, this is why you got to embrace discomfort, and you got to do this, 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 and just that. Yeah. And on the way home, Britt doesn't correct me in that moment, but on the way home, she's like, I think Pax just wants to know that you're his best buddy. He just wants to have fun with you. And I was like, and internally, I'm like,
that was a blast.
Well, no, internally, I'm like, well, I want to have fun. That's my whole point. The whole reason I'm frustrated is because I wanted to have fun.
Gotcha.
I just wanted to have fun.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, she's like, is that any thoughts there? I'm like, no, I just internalizing it. Well, that night, we're cleaning up the kitchen. And I really want my kids to have a good work ethic. I feel like having a good work ethic is just so important, dude, to anything you do in life, And so the motto is everything we do our best. And it was not happening, okay? But it's me and Pax. We're cleaning up the kitchen. I'm trying to instill this. And then I see him throwing, I mentioned this on the Mama meeting today, actually, throwing things into the trash. So instead of just putting the garbage in the trash, he's throwing it into the trash.
Kobe.
And I want you to understand how powerful this is, because my initial reaction in that moment, it's already past bedtime. We're trying to clean up. My initial reaction would usually be correction. No, put it away. Let's do it, right? It's not time for play. But then all of a sudden I remember this feedback that Britt gives me in the car earlier that I was, if we're being honest, resistant to. Mm-hmm. And the feedback, remember, was he just wants to have fun.
Yeah.
And this is how he has fun. He's having fun. Yeah. And so I literally set my stuff down. He's about to shoot one, and this is like, now it's a little water bottle. He goes to shoot it, and I'm not looking. I'm doing the dishes. I'm pretending like I'm not looking. He goes to shoot it, and I swat it away. Right, the garbage is by me. I swat it clear across the room. I'm like, not in my house, buddy. And he laughs, this gut-wrenching laugh. You've seen Pax's laugh.
Love it, dude.
And then I grab it, and we're playing, and we're shooting, and now we play for like 20 minutes just shooting garbage into the trash. And bro,
I love it, man.
As we're walking down the hallway, he wraps his arm around my waist, and he goes, Dad, I love you. And it was all this time that I've been trying to connect, and all these things that I do to try to connect. And really all it took was for me to listen to feedback and be willing to adapt in a moment that I didn't want to adapt, that allowed for connection. And so your initial question, I think, was something along the lines of like, why is it important, or why is it? It's because of that. It's because when you really do adapt and you remove your ego and you're willing to adapt and change and just try it from a different perspective, try something new, just try, and then you see a result you become extremely grateful, not only for the result, but for the person who was loving enough to give you the feedback to help you get to the result. Whether that is somebody else or whether that's yourself, your gratitude and your love amplifies. And anytime that you can have an opportunity to amplify gratitude and love for yourself and or others, well, then life will be more meaningful, right?
Dude, it's so good. It's so good. Tyler, thank you for sharing that. And really, just to pull this back up, it comes back down to why did she give you that feedback? Because she knows what it is that you want with Pax. She knows that you want to have fun with Pax, and that Pax wants to have fun with you. Mm-hmm. And that's what was important there, right? That's what the important thing was, right? Is to have those people that are going to give you the feedback that really know your intention, right? Because Brittany was able to give you this feedback because she knows you just want to have fun with Pax.
Yeah.
She knows that's all that you want.
Yeah. And
she could give some feedback that was the slightest shift that allowed both of you guys to have fun together and be able to make that connection, right? So dude, feedback is so important in making those changes. So kudos to you for putting down the dishes to be able to go play ball with Pax. But but it really is that, dude. You have to give yourself the pat on the back too for making those changes.
Totally.
But then also be grateful for those people that do, like you say, love you enough to make you those feedback.
Love you enough to provide it. Because, bro, when you were saying that, what I was thinking was, imagine if she would have just been frustrated with me for what I was doing.
Yeah.
And what if she didn't believe in me enough? Like, literally listen to this. What if she didn't believe in me enough? I know she loves me, but what if she didn't believe in me enough to offer the feedback? Meaning she didn't believe that I would really implement it. Then she would just keep it. Mm-hmm. Then that frustration would boil. Then she would just continue to think like, oh my gosh, Tyler is a dipshit. This is what he wants. I know that, like, this is the way he could get it in a better way. Why does he do it the way he does? Why is he trying to do this? It's fitting a square. Instead of letting all that boil, she just believes in me. And the same thing will happen for you, man, with anything in your life. If you just believe in people, I believe in people, man. Like, I just believe in people. And the minute that we stop believing in people, dude, that is a slippery slope and will never result in growth, thriving, connection, none of it. Believe in people enough to provide the feedback. And then, if the feedback isn't well received, well, believe in yourself enough to figure out how could you have provided that feedback better.
Exactly.
Right?
Give yourself feedback on how you gave feedback.
That's it.
Exactly. Tyler, this was a very, very impactful episode, man. We covered a lot of things here, and I really believe that there's so many actionables here that we can pull out, implement in our lives to better prepare ourselves to be open for change, to embrace those adaptations as they come, because we know, dude, that through growth and through these adaptations is really the only way to like inner peace and to success and to happiness is to continue to grow and become the best version of yourself that you can be. So, dude, I appreciate you sharing some personal experiences and pulling out a ton of actionables for today, dude. Very impactful episode. So thank you.
Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah.
Love it.
Is there a Hawaiian value you want to wrap up with?
Let's do it, man. Hawaiian value is ho'omau. And I love ho'omau. Ho'omau essentially is endure, man. Endure to the end, right? ETTE, endure to the end.
It's a good one, dude.
It is a great one, man. It means perseverance, resilience, this continuation of moving forward. And that is exciting, dude. Think about that. Some people will hear enduring, and it's like, oof, it sounds miserable. But then other people will hear continually moving forward, and that's exciting, dude. You endure so that you can move forward. You would, endure so that you can continue to grow. And ho'omau is that commitment to persisting through challenges and obstacles and to keep moving forward despite setbacks. And once again, to believe in the direction you're going, believe in that more than the problem or the setback or the struggle that is in front of you. Believe more in where you're going, amplify and magnify the future by taking small steps today, adapting today, knowing that you'll get to where you're looking to go tomorrow. So my takeaway or my call to action to y'all would be excited about adapting, be excited about changing, be excited about growth, man, because when you can literally just flip your script, flip the mindset of just being excited when a challenge comes, being excited when feedback comes, being grateful for that when that stuff comes, your entire energy will continue to flow in the direction that you want it to go instead of being haltered because you're resistant. We just understand that resistance is the opposite of growth. It's the opposite of abundance. Resistance is the opposite of abundance. So if you want abundance, be abundant. And one of the best ways you can be abundant is to adapt, to change, and to grow, and know that there is more abundant possibility and more abundance in the future than what you currently have.
So good. Tyler, thank you, man. Thank you, brother.
Thanks, y'all, man. Thank you, Jackson, for pulling it out of us. Hey, excited, man, for the new rebrand, the Multifamily Mindset Podcast. So tune in next time for that. And in the meantime, hey, live always with Aloha. Peace.